Slamming down on the box is just fucking stupid. You want to sit on the box, tight, pause, and it flex back up. Now, how you flex back up, if it's a bodybuilding purpose, you may not want to flex with maximum force because you're going to be doing well, we just reposted a video on how to box squat. The biggest problem that I've seen over the years when it comes to a carryover from a box squat to a free squat is they're not being done the same way. And especially now, more and more raw lifters are squatting with their knees shifting forward more than years past when people were in gear and they were sitting backwards. But if you start to notice now, a lot of the world records that are starting to be broken in knee sleeves and wraps, you're starting to see the knees lining up more with the ankles like it used to be in the gear where it's falling back on the posterior chain. The reason why people weren't getting the carryover is they were either A, sitting back way on the box like we would instruct with the knee over the heel and squatting straight up, and then going to a meet and breaking with their knees first and sitting down. So essentially doing two different movements. If you want to say two extremes, one is doing a good morning and the other one's doing a sissy squat if you want to take it to the furthest extremes, or vice versa. Them, sitting straight down on the box and then getting into a meet and sitting way back. So as long as you're using the box and you're not slamming down on the box, let's talk about the mistakes first. Slamming down on the box is just fucking stupid. You want to sit on the box, tight, pause, and it flex back up. Now, how you flex back up, if it's a bodybuilding purpose, you may not want to flex with maximum force because you're going to be doing more repetitions. If it's for explosive strength, you're going to flex up with the most explosive forces you possibly can. And when you do it with the most explosive forces you possibly can, you're probably not going to be able to get more than 3 to 5 reps. It's too much force. Most people can't put out that much force for that period of time without some type of decrease in the force. The other thing is with that staying tight is to not let the knees collapse, there's so many things that people fuck up on it. Think of it this way. If you think of the box squat as a plyometric, but instead of your feet hitting the floor and absorbing and jumping back up, it's your ass hitting the box, absorbing, and then you flexing back up again. That's where the explosive strength is really coming from with the box squat. Now keep in mind, I did not say smash your ass on the box and bounce back up, because when you do a true plyo jump, do you smash your feet on the floor and jam back up? You absorb the force tightly and then use the stretch reflex to come back up again. So from that standpoint, and then there's the whole other option where maybe it just isn't the right training stimulus for you. And that's a key thing that a lot of people, I think, are missing in today's training environment, is you have to experiment. Everybody has a coach. Coaches have coaches, and coaches have coaches, and coaches have coaches. And what's being lost is you still got to figure some shit out for yourself. So if you have a coach, communicate really well with them and ask good questions and learn to ask better questions, because overall, when it's all said and done, a coach can only take you so far. It's after they get you to that certain point, you're going to have to be able to make those micro adjustments every day, every rep, every set. I mean, and take any set that you've ever done. You get 3-4 reps in, something don't feel right, you need to adjust. That doesn't do, if you're working with somebody as a coach, that video doesn't do him shit. You need to learn to do that immediately. So if you have a coach, take responsibility in learning and asking the right questions so you can learn to auto-regulate, which is a word I'm going to use a lot, every aspect of your training, because if you don't learn how to do that, you'll never reach your highest potential. Will working with a coach help you? Fuck yes, it's going to help you. It will take years off because you're going to learn from their mistakes, but it's just going to get you to a point where you're still going to have to take responsibility for your own training, if you want to ring in on that.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think a good coach will work with you as far as the auto-regulation. A good coach will teach you to be better at that. I always have to go back to diets because that's primarily what I do, but a lot of people will come at a diet and they'll want they'll want specific meals. They'll say, no, tell me what to eat, when to eat it. And I'll say, that's great. The problem is this is a long process. Even a short process as far as muscle gains is a year-long deal. Even if we're trying to make legitimate changes. And so for me to tell you have to eat 8 ounces of 93.7 lean ground beef at meal 2 every single day, I can do that. But 9 months from now, are you going to want to eat that? What's better is for me to teach you. I like to use macronutrients and teach you how to choose your different foods and what the foods do and why you're eating them at that time, so you can adjust and change them as needed. If you can't stand to eat grits at this meal because you've had grits for 6 months straight, teach you what other foods fit that same, the reason we're having that food at that time.
I can attest to that because I was working with him when I dieted a couple times, and I'm the classic rebound guy. I'm always on a rebound. But I'm almost got to the point where I said, fuck it, I'm not going to diet anymore ever again. But I would get the macronutrients, and I wasn't one of these anal guys that was asking them, should I make up for the grams of protein that are left in my shaker cup? But I would see, what the fats, proteins, and carbohydrates were, and he'd explain that these are not to be compiled. Like the little bit of carbohydrate that may be in a chicken or whatever doesn't fucking count. So I put my own meals together because I knew I was never going to step on a stage. So one of my meals was a flatbread sandwich from Subway with 3 chicken breasts, greens, and that was it. And that fit those numbers perfectly. Now, was it the most optimal for a bodybuilding diet? No, but it got me lean as fuck. It achieved the same goal.
Really, at the end of the day, I'm not one of those pure if it fits your macros guys. I don't want you I don't want you trying to find a way to make Oreos fit your macros.
Oh yeah.
But in general, yeah, if your protein source comes from a good complete source like meat, eggs, protein drink, your carbs come from a relatively complex source, and in my mind, bread is still a relatively complex carbohydrate, and your fats come from a healthy source like avocados, which you might get on a sandwich. There's nothing, if that meets the calorie and macronutrient requirements for that meals, I'm generally fine with it. Now, pre-contest bodybuilder, you get inside of 4 weeks out, maybe not, but other than that, yeah, that's why I set the diets up that way with a food list to teach you how to build the diets yourself, I guess.
Unless you're going to step on stage, you have to do it. That's the most important thing, is you have to be able to stick to it.
Exactly.
To make it done.
And that's what I feel like, I feel, especially with diets, and I'm sure it's the same with training, when you give a training and you say, this weight for this many reps, and pretty soon what happens is the guy comes in, as far as diet-wise, he can't stand to eat that meal number 2. He's had egg whites and oatmeal for breakfast for 200 breakfasts in a row. He can't stand it, and so what he does is he says, screw it, and he has 3 bowls of cereal and then doesn't tell me, which ruins it for both of us. So my next changes are based on the assumption that he's eating egg whites and oatmeal, and so if he's holding extra glycogen or holding extra fluid, and I'm assuming he ate that, I'm going to make the wrong changes to his diet. Where if I trust that I allow him to make a different food choices to meet those macronutrient ratios, from a list of foods, that I know what changes to make. It's the same with training. If I tell you to do this weight for this many reps, and for whatever reason you go into the gym and you tweak your pec, and you decide to change the workout all around, and you don't tell me because you're afraid I'm going to get mad because I didn't follow the program and I never taught you how to
change the exercises,
then I'm going to make changes to your training program based on the false assumption that you're following a program you weren't following exactly.
Yeah, so communication's key.
Yeah.
It's key. You're not going to impress anybody on a keyboard or an email sent into somebody because pictures don't lie either.
Yeah, exactly.